Welcome back to the shop, everybody. I was doing a little sandblasting, but then as you can see, I ran out of sand, so that put an end to that. Brake lock arm, ratchet, and part that the ratchet engages on for the tractor in the yard. Clutch arm and shaft for tractor in the yard. A couple of clutch shoes and some clutch parts for the tractor in here, so we can get that stuff kind of final cleaned up and start fitting things now. Until I get some more sand, we'll move on to something else, which is this backer plate. I was just out, ground the heads of these rivets off, so now I can punch them out, get this ring off, get that old felt off, do some final cleanup of that, and can see what we got to work with. Yeah, I got sidetracked working on this because I realized, hey, I have a press now. I can press that pin out. Sure enough, get it out, clean it up a little bit, and it actually just a tiny bit sloppy. What it should be. That was stuck in there tight before, so clean that up, and that project will be good to go. So I got the ring off here. And I found another piece of little shrapnel. I'm not sure which one it was now. One of these little ones. They went with those other three that we found the other day. I can't figure out where they came from yet. They definitely look like cast iron to me. You can kind of see, I don't know if the camera's going to focus here. I wonder if I can, there, maybe zoom in on it. Yeah, it's better. It's like, you can see the grain of it. It's cast. I don't know where these came from though, because they don't look like any part of them is really machined. It's all just like broken cast. Kind of a mystery. I'm just puzzled like where those could have came from. Got any ideas? Okay, before I wire wheel this up, I took a little bit of rubbing compound and cleaned up the best original paint spots I had, just kind of out of curiosity more than anything, just to kind of compare it to my color sample. That's, you know, the color I used in the 612, the red and the green. It is, let's see, zoom in again now that I know how to do that feature. I would say, based on this sample, the original paint, which of course is not perfect by any means, so take that for what it's worth, but if that's any indication of what the original color was, and like I said, you can't really go by that because literally I can see through, the paint is so thin I can see through it to the original brown primer underneath, so it's not a real good example. But having said all that, I would say that the original maybe was just a little bit darker green than what we currently accept as the correct Allis Chalmers green. But like I said, take that for what it's worth. It's an old sample, not necessarily the best sample. I'm trying to kind of move it around to show you, because paints can be very deceiving within different lights, and this is of course at night in the garage with LED lights, so it's not out in natural sunlight or anything, but just figured I'd show that before I completely destroyed all the original paint and wire wheeled it off. So just kind of for historical, you know, accuracy or whatever, show what it was, because there hasn't been much actually original green left on anything on this tractor. Most of it's been rust, so this is one of the better samples. I might clean up some of the inside of these final drives just too, out of curiosity. But there again, that's been covered in grease for decades, so I don't know if that's a really good sample to be looking at either. Of course, that's really dirty in there too. Yet, so that's not a real good test yet. Okay, left side backer plate is all cleaned up, straightened out. Basically, we're good to go now until we get a backer ring, and then we can put the felt on this side, so it'll be the same as the right side. Okay, so I rounded up some material from McMaster-Carr to make these new thrust washers for the pinion axles, if you remember that. We're working on that in a recent video. We got some diameters here of what the ID, OD thickness should be. At work we have a special bit to cut out plexiglass and other types of similar plastics with, and this material should be a pretty good fit for that bit. So boss man draw me up a little program, and we'll see if we can cut out some parts here. There, we ran a test. These are the washers, thrust washers for the pinion axles. This is just a scrap piece of plexiglass, running a test on the program before we run the actual material, just in case there was any issues. It looks like it should work pretty good. Let's load up the right stuff now. Cut out a good one. there. That was a bit nerve-wracking, but it looks like it turned out good. An expensive piece of material, so we really didn't want to mess it up. It was $40-some for this sheet of material. I got it from the MasterCard. I'll put the number or whatever on the screen here to tell you what the stuff is if anybody's curious. But it should be a pretty close representation of what the original material was. Let's get this unscrewed and look at it. Okay, here we are after. So I just took and cut out the little tags that were left in the scrap sheet. You know, they were all together. I just took a jigsaw, cut them apart, then took them to the disc sander on the outside and spindle sander on the inside. Just tuned them up a little bit to get rid of those little nubs, and worked out really well. I would say that this is definitely an appropriate material. It feels just like the same kind of stuff the originals are, just a different color. I'd say we got the sizes just right. I did go by, these are the dimensions that they give in the parts book. And we did end up going with just a 3/32 thick, which is what the parts book calls for. That's the only thickness we could really find in this material that was close. We were hoping to get a little bit thicker, but this will have to work. So I got 9 of them made here. We only need 8 between the two tractors, but I could get 9 out of one sheet. So we'll have 1 extra just in case. But yeah, I'm happy with it so far. It seems like a pretty tough material. It looks like it's papery on the outside, probably in the video, but it's really not. That's just kind of the texture of the plastic. It's really more of a kind of a hard, dense, but yet slightly flexible plastic material. So let's maybe take this apart and make sure sizes, everything works, stick them actually in the tractor now. So the weather sure threw a wrench into my plans. All of this snow is new within the last few days. We didn't have basically any snow. And then we got a big storm came and dumped on us before it snowed. We had freezing rain. So the roads and everything are covered in ice. And then we got a dumping of snow. And then it blew. And now that the storm has passed, it is cold, very cold, below zero. And it's supposed to be like high of teens below zero for the next week. So my plans kind of got a wrench thrown in them here. Snowblower has been getting a good workout. Just changed the oil on that. Old lawn boy still runs like a top. So, okay, where are we at? It is Saturday evening. I planned on being on the road this morning to head back to Wisconsin for a Christmas vacation. The truck is actually already all loaded up with tractor parts, waiting to go home. But because the roads are garbage and ice covered, I will not travel until the roads are good. Simple as that. I've been down that road before, literally and figuratively, traveling in bad weather, and I will not do it. Not for the 10.5-hour drive home to Wisconsin, and that's if the road is good. So if the roads are marginal, it's way too long of a drive to be, doing it in lousy weather. Simple as that. Anyway, moving on. So while I wait for the roads and weather to cooperate, I'm going to stick around and we will work on something here instead. I hope to maybe leave in a day or two when the roads get better. Problem is, it's going to be very bitter cold, and I really don't like traveling when it's whatever, potentially 20 below out either, because if you break down in that kind of weather, that is very dangerous, life-threatening if it's that cold. So we'll just see, but I definitely won't travel when the roads are icy. I've had some bad experiences with that. So, as you've seen, I got some washers cut out so we can work on maybe a little bit of that here. I got the heater warming the shop up out here, and get something done. Yeah, that should work well. So there's the new washers in place, one on either side of this plate. And it comes out pretty much flush there, just like we expected. And that goes back on here like so. I don't know if I'll be able to do it with one hand. So it all goes together back like that. There's your one on the outside and one on the inside. So to repeat myself again, that keeps the axle located left and right. We've kind of covered that in past videos, but in case you're new here, I think that'll work. Okay, washers in on this side as well. A little bit more of a pain to do when the backer plate is on, because that has to all come off to get the axle out to get this plate off. But yeah, it all seems to be good. And then when we get those new washers made for inside, that should be the last thing to do besides cutting a few gaskets for all this rear end stuff. We should be able to move on then from there. Should be a very good feeling. Seems like we've been working on that for way too long. Okay, I also wanted to update you on this intermediate shaft assembly. I never really talked about that, but Dad and I also put that together while he was here over Thanksgiving. That all went together really well. We got the plate on, everything is tight, at least for dry pitting purposes. Same with the plate here that the brake pulley goes on to. That's all in there, and we're really happy with all of the play. Initially in past videos I was kind of grumbling how everything was pretty loosey-goosey. A part of that was because until the nuts are tightened on either side of that shaft, there's nothing to sandwich all these gears together tightly. Once you have all those nuts tight, all that play goes away. I mean, there's still rotational play on that shaft, so to speak, when things are under load, because that's splines on the inside of the gears to that shaft. There's a little bit of wear in there, which can be expected from a tractor this old. But now that they're not wobbling side to side, I feel a lot better about that whole situation. And since we got all those gears dressed up there, I'm happy with all that. We'll run all that, it'll be okay. We have that reverse idler gear taken out. Dad brought that back home. He actually pressed the gear off of that bronze bushing that it was on for the shifting fork, all in preparation to bring it down to Gary's. Hopefully if I could ever get home, we'll make it down to visit him, and we'll talk more about that when that time comes. But that is in the works to get potentially remade. So our transmission is shaping up. If we could figure out a solution for that main belt pulley shaft, we'll be golden. So I figured I'd just give you a little more of a heads up on where we were at there, since I never really touched on that while Dad was here. We just got to make a few gaskets, and basically that shaft is good to go. We made up some plans to make a special cutout die to make the custom leather gaskets, seals, that go in to seal this shaft to the housing. Goes behind this plate here, if you remember. I ordered some leather that's actually waiting at home already. It came with the McMaster order I recently placed there. So yeah, if I ever get home, we will maybe work on that project as well. It snowed a little bit this morning here. The sun's actually out now, but it's still like maybe 0 at best out there. Pretty cold. A lot of snow. Roads are still pretty icy, so I'm just waiting it out. So we'll continue working on stuff here until the weather is good, like I said before. So I think I'll probably wrap this video up here. It's probably getting long enough. I thank you all for watching, and if you haven't hit the old subscribe button, please do that. Hit the like button. Leave a comment below if you would. It helps the videos get seen. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.